Hey guys, hope you've been well. Today we're going to be reviewing the Vortex Viper red dot mounted here on a Glock MOS. Super hot in Colorado today. Well, relatively hot. It's like in the 80s. And I was wearing a tank top and I was going to change it so I didn't look like a douchebag. But you know, liberty or death. It's a very appropriate tank top for the weekend here in America anyway. Independence Day weekend, kind of, though it falls on a Tuesday, but I would still consider this Independence Day weekend. And hopefully I'll try to post this video like today or tomorrow. So I actually am wearing an appropriate tank top for the day. Otherwise, I'll just be a douchebag for no reason. As you guys know, I'm a fan of red dots on pistols. This is my carry pistol with a Trijicon RMR. The RMR is kind of the gold standard of pistol mini micro red dots. But it does have, it doesn't have all the pros. There's a lot of other red dots that have pros over the RMR, but the RMR has great battery life, it's durable, it's proven, but definitely it's worth considering some of these other red dots on the market because they're kind of better in some ways, but not all the ways. There's no red dot that wins in every category. A while back I reviewed the Burris Fast Fire 3, which is a small, pretty nice little red dot. I'll link to that. I forget which side, one of these sides with the card. And today we're gonna be reviewing the Viper. We'll compare it a little bit against the RMR, we'll compare it a little bit against the Fast Fire because these are the three red dots I have in front of me. With all my reviews, I don't really read off the box and tell you the specs. I just tell you how it works, what I think about it, you know, sometimes areas of improvement that I could see, and yeah, just general real life, real world thoughts on products. So, here's the box. If you care about those stats, you can pause it, read them, whatever. The gist is it's small, it's light, it's thin. It uses a CR2032 like every other red dot on the market, pretty much of this equivalent size. Battery life, I think, varies a lot. You're not gonna get as many hours as you are with an RMR, but I think you get pretty good hours. I think on high, it's like 150 hours, and on low, it's like 30,000 maybe. The mounting plate, this is on a Glock MOS. It does share the same mounting plate as the Burris Fast Fire for those that are curious about that. And yeah, okay, let's just kind of get into what I like about it, what I don't like about it, the goods, the bads, the ugly, whatever. So it's a little bit thinner well, not overall. The thickest points are thicker than an RMR. The majority of it is thinner than an RMR. So on this side, the side with no buttons are on this side, the buttons stick out. But on the side with no buttons, if you can tell, it is relatively thin. Not quite flush with the Glock slide, sticks out just a tiny little bit. For reference, the Burris Fast Fire is completely flush, like the exact same width as a Glock slide, and has just a tiny little button that sticks out over here. The RMR is thicker than the Glock slide all around. So, not sure how easy it is to tell in the videos, but thicker than a Glock slide. The Viper does stick out quite a bit on this side where we have the buttons. All right, so the buttons, we'll talk about them. So there's an up and a down arrow. Very easy to push. They're pretty big, so the disadvantage is that they're pretty big, and the advantage is that they're pretty big. So easy to hit, but you know, they stick out a little bit. It will probably work with most of your holsters. With holsters that I make, it does work. So yeah, you know, if your holsters look like they would clear this, you should be fine, no problem. Operation is you press either of these, if it's off, you press either of these buttons to turn it on. To turn it off, you long press the down arrow. Pretty simple, down. Obviously, you would remember that because down eventually would go to off probably, but you hold it and it goes off. So the thing I'm not a fan of is that it has a 14-hour shutoff. So for reference, the RMR is on until you shut it off or until the battery dies. The Burris Fast Fire is even worse with an 8-hour auto off. The Viper, 14 hours. So that means if you turn it on in the morning at some point, it'll last most of the day. Unfortunately, not the whole day. I wish that if they were going to do an auto off thing, that they would do like 24 hours. I get it. They want the battery to last longer. I get it. Like maybe it's not completely geared towards a carry red dot or whatever, but I think there should be a way to disable it. If there is a way to disable it, I'm super sorry. This is a horrible review for not mentioning it, but I didn't see it mentioned in any other reviews. I couldn't find it in any forums, and I probably should have emailed Vortex direct to ask them, but I didn't. I will update in a note if I hear otherwise in the video description below. But yeah, 14-hour auto off, which kind of I'm just not a fan of. Again, better than 8 hours, but I would like at least the ability to just run it 24/7 until either the battery dies or I decide to shut it off. But yeah, okay. So auto off feature, that's the main downfall in my opinion. So we'll get into adjustments. So on the top, we have elevation. On the side, we have windage. Another kind of unfortunate thing that I don't really care about is there's these little lock things behind here. So to lock the windage or the elevation adjustment, you can't get to those with the sights on, with any kind of normal tool. If you had some kind of like mini little specialty tool, you might be able to get in there and turn them. But I probably wouldn't use the lock feature anyways, so it doesn't really affect me. Battery is on the bottom like the RMR. The Burris is kind of nice because you can change the battery from the top without removing the optic. So that's one plus for the Burris that you don't get on the Viper, but the Viper, you know, is similar to the RMR. So I can't really docket points for that because it uses the same bottom battery, which is just, I don't know, I'm sure it makes sense, makes some things easier, but maybe having the battery compartment on the top, I'm not sure, makes the whole device taller because the Viper is shorter. It does co-witness on the MOS with your irons here. The Burris, if you remember my review, if you saw it, was too tall to co-witness with the Glock MOS with standard suppressor height sights. In order to get your Burris to co-witness with irons, you really need a taller than regular set of suppressor sights. The Vortex works great. Perfect co-witness on the Glock MOS with standard suppressor height sights. So that's a big bonus for the Viper. Now we'll get into window. The window size is roughly the same as the Fastfire and bigger than the RMR. So the RMR window is probably the smallest window of all these little micro red dots. So really, in my opinion, basically every other red dot on the market is actually nicer to shoot through than the RMR. The RMR kind of has the most discoloration, it has the smallest window, it's just not super awesome. Obviously the glass is clear, they're all quote unquote parallax free, but they all do have a little parallax even though they're quoted as being parallax free. The Viper is relatively clear, the window, it's nice. Similar clarity to the Burris, though, you know, you can't tell right here on the tabletop. But clarity through these windows is great. This is a 6 MOA dot. It's very crisp. It seems crisper than my RMR 6.5 MOAs, though my RMRs have been used more. The glass is kind of scratched. They're older. So I'm not sure if it is actually crisper than a new RMR, but it does seem crisper than my used RMRs. So the dot is really good. 6 MOA dot's a good dot for pistol size. Some people are like running the smaller 3 or 4 MOA dots on pistols. I'm still kind of a big fan of the larger dots because, especially on a defensive gun, chances are you're going to be taking a shot, close range. Big dot works great, easy to pick up. The small dots, you can turn up the brightness if you really want to kind of compensate for the small dot size, but might as well go with the bigger dot to begin with. The smaller dots obviously will be more advantageous when shooting at distance. But for me, on a pistol, you know, unless you're trying to impress your friends, are you going to be shooting at 100 yards realistically for any kind of defensive scenario? Probably not. I can't dictate where you're going to use your handgun for, but I would say you're probably going to be shooting up closer ranges. You know, the dot excels, and dots in general. I'm not going to get into dots really. I got into dots more on my other Burris Fastfire pistol red dot review if you want to hear my thoughts on red dots in general, but I'm a fan of them. Stepped outside in the bright sun, America, sun behind over there, just to compare kind of how the dots look outside. These guns, they've all been cleared beforehand, so don't worry about that. So here we have the Vortex Viper. Now it doesn't really give an accurate depiction through the camera on how bright these dots are, but this is completely adequate for eyesight in these kind of bright lighting conditions. It doesn't really reflect that, but it's pretty bright. The RMR, however, is a little brighter, and you can notice that in the video that it is a little brighter. Now in person, the RMR is crazy bright. In camera, all you can tell that it's brighter. Now the Burris, it's not really fair because this is just a 3 MOA dot, but you can tell is even harder to pick up in the bright light. Doesn't get as bright as the Venom, the Viper rather, or the RMR. All right, just wanted to show that real quick. Also, here's my chickens. Closing thoughts are, it is a great contender in the little micro red dot world. Affordable right now, I think at Optics Planet, this is like $175 or something. There's a little bit of a sale going on. So if you get over there, use my links, click it, go check it out. I think they're on sale right now. Granted, I can't speak for when I post the video, but this is a very affordable red dot. Awesome little dot. If you want to toss it on your carry gun, just remember to turn it on. Remember that it powers off. Not a huge deal if you're running backup iron sights. So I spoke pretty harshly of the auto off feature earlier, but it's really not the end of the world because chances are in a defensive shooting, you're going to be point shooting. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm not telling you to train like that, whatever. I'm not going to get into that topic, but chances are you're going to be point shooting. If you do need to use your sights, you have backup irons if your dot is off. Obviously, we're running a red dot. We want to use the red dot. We want to use the advantages of the red dot. We want to use the benefits of the red dot. We want the dot to be on. So leaving it on all the time would be ideal, but just saying the auto off feature may or may not make it a deal breaker for you. And again, if I find out that there is a way to disable the auto off feature, I will put that at the top of my video description so you know, because I don't like to misspeak. So I'm just saying, as far as I know, the auto off 14-hour feature is just what it is. But maybe there's like a button combination you can press to turn it off. All right, guys, thanks for watching. This, as always, linked in the video description below. If you have questions, comments, anything, feel free to comment on the video and I will try my best to answer them, or my other viewers will answer the questions for me. And yeah, I always put links in my video descriptions below every video. So if you ever want a coupon code for this or that, or if you're ever wanting to know my affiliate link for Amazon or whatever, just click any one of my videos and they're always down in the video description below. All right, guys, if you like the video, take 2 seconds to hit that thumbs up button. I really appreciate it. Get subscribed to the channel if you're not. And next time I won't wear a tank top. Peace.